The countdown.
You guys have so much, it's so much easier. You guys are supposed to relax. Hi, Rich Fahle. We're back on the set of BookView Now at pbs.org. Right now I have a really fun hour. I'm with a bunch of huge YouTube stars. It's funny, I was looking at the BookCon feed last night, and there's as many pictures of you guys as there are of the authors on there, and the people that are with you are thrilled to be with you. We have Kat O'Keefe of Katytastic on YouTube. We have Christine Riccio, did I say that right?
Riccio, yeah.
Of PolandBananasBooks, and we have Jesse George of Jesse the Reader. Yep. All on YouTube. I want to talk a little bit about how you all created your YouTube personalities and your worlds, which have this amazing fan base, and you're all book focused, which we love here at BookCon 2015. Why don't we start with you, Kat? Like, when did it dawn on you that there's this world out there on YouTube that you wanted to play with?
Well, I've followed YouTube like other YouTubers who weren't book related for a long time, and I'm actually an aspiring author, so I started vlogging to document my writing and my journeys in publishing. And then I discovered that there were other people talking about books and what they love to read, and I was like, these are my people.
Yeah.
So I started talking more about books than just the writing, and I still talk about writing, but now I didn't have a lot of people in my real life who loved books,
yeah.
And now I just have so many people in my online life who love books. And
I know, I think people are finding these friends, this huge basin of friends that exist online that are not in your neighborhoods or go to your schools.
Right. Yeah.
Christine, when did you start? How long has it been for you?
A long time. I mean, I started making comedy vlogs, like just funny little sketches and vlogs about my life and stories and stuff. And I really loved books, and I had no one to talk about it with. And I was in college, I was like, oh Lord, there's no friends to talk about books with. So I just was like, why don't I start vlogging about that? And I did. It was before there was like a big book community. And then maybe a year or 2 years later, I started finding other people that do the same thing. And then that's kind of when the community really started to explode. And I found like really great friends who read, and it was just amazing.
Yeah, I think it's amazing that when you talk about the community exploding,
Yeah.
I mean, I think a lot of people think of books as, you know, that not a lot of people are reading, but you guys are saying it's the opposite. I mean, there's clearly a community you've tapped into that love this stuff.
Right. Yeah.
Talk to Jesse first. Jesse the Reader, your YouTube site. How long has it been for you that you've been online?
I've been doing YouTube since like 2010, but it's never felt like I was belonging. Like, it just never felt like I found a community on the site where I belonged. And then I stumbled on BookTube, and I had found where I wanted to make videos. So, yeah.
So talk to me about when you felt like you had traction. And anybody can jump in. I mean, you all sort of found your way to a category that really worked for you, where you found friends and that you found people, more and more people starting to watch. When did it dawn on you that, like, wait, I'm getting an audience here. It's growing, really, and I'm finding my way to them?
Yeah, I think it's probably similar for all of us when we started seeing other people start booktubing or get into books and say it was because of us. Like, I started reading again because of you, or I picked up this book and fell in love with reading because of you. And it's like just such a powerful thing.
Yeah, it was interesting because there was no book community, so we were forming it because we were front running it. So as it went on, more and more people joined it. And now if you join the book community, you easily find people that, you know, want to watch your videos and subscribe and such. It's different for me kind of because I did have a bit of an audience. I had like 10,000 subscribers on my comedy channel. So when I switched over, it was, some people were automatically watching. But in like 2012, when I started doing consistently and the community was really growing, is when it just, an audience was coming. Like, subscribers were coming in, and it was just so awesome to see so many people that love reading.
And like, you started with your comedy channel, but then the book channel passed the comedy channel
it was
in like subscribers.
What was it about to happen in 2012 that all of a sudden, I mean, for you it seemed like it was a moment where it just all of a sudden switched over. What was it about that happened?
Book to movie adaptations have like really had a big influence on it.
And I started doing like videos for all the trailers and like for all the castings and stuff.
So people who are interested in those movies come to YouTube and like search the book titles and they find videos.
Yeah, and we made like stuff that the fan sites would start posting because there were no videos about it.
Right.
Like, I remember for the Mortal Instruments movie, a lot of my videos were on like TMI Source and all the Mortal Instruments fan sites, and that brought them to YouTube. And
it is cool how how fandom has made its way to books. I mean, it's always. I mean, we've seen certainly Harry Potter, we saw Twilight, we saw Hunger Games. It's been there, and to your right, to a lot of degree, I think it's the adaptations. But it's gone beyond that. I mean, if you see some of the crowds of people following some of these authors around who have no film adaptations, but they have huge fan bases, partly because of the work you guys do, I think. but it's created sort of an energy and an excitement around books that hasn't always been there. And I think it may have even skipped a generation of people and sort of found its way to you guys who are really driving some of that excitement right now.
Like I feel like movie adaptations help to bring reading back into like pop culture and like kind of made it cool again because people will see the Hunger Games and read the book, and then they'll be like, I want to read something else like this, and they'll start reading books that don't have movie adaptations. But
Twilight really like started that. It exploded.
Yeah, I've worked with some of those Twilight blogs, and they really were like the forefront. Now some of those people are working in other blogs, like Hypeable and other things.
Hypeable, exactly.
Who's running our feed, I think, today.
Oh, really?
So, a little Hypeable.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, but talk to me a little bit about when you realized that this is where I belong, this is what I should be doing. Jesse, you can start. Where like, I found my thing. This is it for me.
I think it was just like the community feel of it, because BookTube is just like the nicest community ever. Like, my first videos, I had like 10 comments from people saying, welcome to the community, and that was just like such an amazing feeling.
And you all know each other, and you have worked together.
Through BookTube.
Yeah. I mean, I went to VidCon 2 years before like BookTube had really become a thing. I was making those videos, but I was also making comedy videos, but like, it wasn't that much fun because I didn't have that many friends that I felt really close to. And then the third year, book people came, and it was just the funnest isn't a word, but it was the most fun.
It works for me,
like,
that's the idea,
It
Cruz.
was just great. We really clicked, and it was awesome. It was so
For
much
people
fun.
that don't know what BookTube is, explain it, because I mean, people know YouTube certainly, but not everyone knows
it's
BookTube.
books on YouTube, you know, like all sorts of
But what's the
bookish videos.
connection? How does it all come together? How do you guys like know when? What is the sort of cadre? How does it work?
Well,
I mean, you just call it, it's a loose term.
I mean,
like there's little there's sub communities. Like BookTube is just a blanket term for if you're talking about books, you're a part of BookTube. Even if that's not all you do. Like, welcome to the family.
Yeah. I mean, and it's like if you're talking videos, it's like book reviews, book hauls, bookish sketches that like book people can relate to and are funny.
A lot of adaptation stuff.
Stuff, TBR stuff, like to be read piles. We talk about what you're excited to read. It's fun.
And all the publishers certainly know you guys now. Like, I said, I'm going to have Kat O'Keefe and Jesse George and Christina on our sites, and they said, oh yeah, we know them. They're very powerful people. I was like, okay, all right, you guys have tapped into the zeitgeist for sure. Well, talk to me. Let's spend a little bit of time on some of the books that you've read recently that our viewers might be really interested in. And some of the people when you got here that you just had to go meet. I mean, because you need to get that galley, you need to get that next book that they have going on. What are you most excited about, Kat?
Well, I just read A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. And
all nodding your heads.
It was, we all just read.
I mean, we love Sarah J. Maas.
We actually got, I wasn't in the picture, but I've met her before.
Saw her on the floor yesterday.
Did you?
Yeah, she's one of our favorites.
So when you guys, do you share like really quickly, like, have you read this yet? Have you read this yet? I've read this. I mean,
well, like Christy and I are actually roommates, and like I finished the book, and I was like, you have to read this next. And she has a bunch of other books she was like debating between, but I was like, no, I need to talk about this book with you.
Yeah, and I wanted to read it too because I love her other books. You know? So I was waiting to. I just read that book too, but I was really excited about Passenger, which is Alex Bracken's new book, and they only had 200 arcs. We sprinted for the line.
So you hopefully had some pull, but I'm sure you were having to elbow some people out of the way. It was very aggressive.
It was intense.
Those books.
We did miss out on an arc that we wanted. We wanted Truth Witch by Susan Dennard, and they went so quickly. Like they were passing them out at 1. We showed up at 1:02. They were gone.
That's exciting that there's that many people like pushing and shoving and wanting to get those books.
Right.
We had Alex Bracken on the set, but we had her actually to talk about the Star Wars book that she's working on.
It's very exciting.
And she's very excited about going that direction too. And Tony DiTerlizzi interviewed her, and it was really wonderful.
She's great.
Yeah. And I love the fact that these authors are flexing into other areas too, and they've got like so much, they got the chops to do something totally different than other things that they're doing, or they create these sort of partnerships with other writers who come to them, or organically something cool sprouts up with them. Yeah. So what else are you guys excited about?
Library of Souls by Ransom Riggs. Yes.
Yes.
Have you met Ransom before?
Yes, I have. He's amazing. Yeah.
So tell me what do you know about Library of Souls?
I don't know too much about it, honestly. It's very secretive.
Well, you got to like reveal a picture from it early.
I did.
On your channel.
So.
Yeah, the photos of all of his books are incredible.
I know, they're mind-blowing.
And I'm amazed. I don't know which comes first sometimes, whether the photos drive the story or the story drives the photos, or how many of them are actually real. And, but Ransom is a really
Yeah,
Amazing
they're-
guy.
And on
Great.
Instagram,
Yeah.
following Tahara and
Yeah.
Ransom.
They're like
Their
models.
Instagrams are great.
And not only
Yeah.
the models, but they're charming and they're
Yeah.
hilarious,
Yeah.
and they
Great.
just seem to have it all going on.
Power couple.
Yes,
Yeah.
for sure.
They really are a power couple. Yeah. I told them when we were with them in Los Angeles, and I told them they should continue to do their videos because they are really good. I mean, Ransom
Yeah.
is a
Yeah.
videographer
We were
himself.
all so excited when they started
YouTube
making their
channel.
videos,
Yeah.
and then they stopped for a little
I
bit.
know. They
We
haven't
wanted
been
to
doing
get
it.
back
Like,
into it.
I think
back,
it's hard when you're
please,
writing.
back. You know,
Yeah.
join
Yeah.
BookTube again. You know,
They,
come
they
back.
have books to write.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're excited to read their books, so it's okay.
All right, so who else? I mean, this is like, for me, this is exciting because knowing that you guys are on top of everything, and it helps me sort of know where I'm going to, not only for me, but for my kids who are excited about the next
Yeah,
thing too.
Right.
I'm excited for Rainbow Rowell's Carry On.
Carry on.
on.
That's coming soon. She has the Fangirl Special Edition here today, which has an excerpt, I think, or it
Yeah,
comes with a
yeah.
chapter
Little sampler.
Yeah, well, there's lots of fan art in it, and
Yeah,
you know,
it's
it comes with
beautiful.
like like I think she put some sort of a ribbon in there in the book too.
Ooh.
Yes,
Fancy.
yes.
But Carry On, I don't think many people have read Carry On yet. We had Leigh Bardugo and
There's not even arcs
No,
of it
there's no
out.
arcs,
no.
yeah.
And so Leigh Bardugo was on the set yesterday with Rainbow, and she said she's one of the
Yeah.
3 people that apparently have read this book. I mean, apparently
wow.
no
Oh
one.
my God.
Yeah.
Exclusive.
I waited in line for an hour for Six of Crows. That was one that I was really excited for.
They were pretty funny together.
Yeah.
They're hilarious.
I don't know why I was even there. I should have just let them do their comedy show. Yeah, they were really, really great.
Yeah.
So when you guys think about your YouTube futures, you know, you're all creating personalities and you're building audiences, and suddenly you're getting requests to do things, and people notice you and they want to meet you. This can go all sorts of different directions for you. Have you thought about it? Like, have you thought about the direction you want to take now?
Yeah. Do you want to go?
I mean, the book, like, there's always new books coming out. There's always books that came out a while ago that we haven't read and we want to get to. So for now, at least, I'm just enjoying this. Like, it's so cool, and I do still ultimately, like, want to be an author. That's, like, my dream job. But I love reading and talking about books in the meantime while I'm working on my own stuff.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've always wanted to write comedy, like a sitcom-y sort of a thing. Like in Landline, that's like my exact job I want. But I also love to act, and I also love talking about books. So
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of things that I want to do, and I've always wanted to write a book too, because I love reading. I think all readers like kind of have a dream to write a
Right.
book.
Yeah.
So eventually, I want to, you know, follow all those paths and see where it goes. But right now, I'm going to see where YouTube brings me, because it's
Yeah.
a great platform, and
It's taking you
really
places
enjoying
right now. What about
Yeah.
you, Jesse?
I mean, same. I'm just really enjoying the moment right now. It's just crazy. So yeah, just having fun right now. Yeah.
Well, what's cool about, and what you just said, Christine, is that these authors are doing multiple things now. So you're getting people who understand multiple platforms. That's also a relatively new thing in the author world. People are coming at it with, okay, I'm doing this book here, I'm doing this book there, I'm doing this stuff on YouTube, I'm going to create this thing elsewhere. And I think that it's the first generation that I've seen that really is leveraging every bit of the digital platform that's available to them, and not limiting themselves to one thing necessarily. But
Right.
and when you see other people who maybe didn't have that in their background, some of the older writers, maybe my age and older, it feels a little clunky sometimes, whereas you guys seem so naturally adept at moving between all the digital platforms and playing with whatever is available to you guys.
Right.
it kind of like grew up with us, so we had to learn as we went along. I guess
Yeah.
that's why. I don't know.
Yeah,
'Cause it's
that's-
not just YouTube. I mean, you guys are all over social
Yeah,
media as
yeah.
well.
I mean, we have to. It's kind of part of our job as YouTubers to, you know, market ourselves.
Right.
You know, so we have to like
Share our videos
share our
across
videos on all the
platforms.
platforms so that we can get as many people to see it that we can.
So you spend all day doing this stuff right now? How does it work?
No, definitely not all day.
You have to
It's really
read.
you have to read, and there's a lot of shows we watch too.
Yeah.
TVTube isn't really a thing yet. Yeah, it's just I feel like new media is kind of just now getting like a lot of recognition in the mainstream,
Right.
but it's already such a powerful force, and
Yeah.
I feel like it's only going to keep growing. Like YouTube is huge, but I feel like it's still going to keep getting bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so many young people just watch YouTube. It's so weird. Like, I talked to my brother who's still in high school, and he watches a lot of YouTube. His friends just watch YouTube, and not many shows anymore. It's
Right.
weird.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean-
But
crazy to
it's
think about.
very cool.
Yeah, I can tell you I've seen the same thing in my household. Absolutely. Well, listen, we are going to break because we have a video of all three of you. You were kind enough to all share little samples of what you guys do. And for those that don't know you, we're going to run that right now. And Jesse, you're going to come back and talk to Brian Selznick with us in just a little bit. But it was wonderful to have you guys on the set. I'm really impressed with you guys. You guys are owning it out there. And
Thank you so much.
Cool. And I love everything that's happening to you. You deserve it. You work really hard. So thanks for being here. And right now we're going to throw to a video that we have of Kat, of Christine, and Jesse. Really fun. But we'll be back in just a little bit.
Hey guys, today I'm going to be sharing my thoughts, opinions, and feels on Air of Fire by Sarah J. Maas. Did you like the intensity in my voice just then? I was trying to reflect the feeling of this book because this book is intense. I am off the page excited about this book. See what I did there? Off the page, hardy har 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 har. I can't believe June is here. Oh, how time flies when you read good books. Hey guys, today I've got a special guest with me, and that is Katytastic. And today, she is going to be giving me all her books.
Except no!
And I'm over here like, what have you done, Sarah J. Maas? What have you done? You can't just leave this book and not want more. Like, I want more with these characters. And guys, we're getting more. We're getting a sequel, and I am so pumped about it. And I will see you guys soon with a new video. Later.
Hello! I'm Christine, and today we're going to be talking about Blood of Olympus! Thinking about venturing into fantasy, but you don't know where to start. Lost, confused, unknowing of the world of fantasy that lies beyond. Behold, me.
I have a ginormous amount of books to show you today.
I got 99 problems, and which book to read is a lot of them. A lot of those problems is which book should I read next. That was just me doing a spell to erase my fictional boyfriends from their literal bonds. This is my arch nemesis, Voldemort. I can touch you now! This
when he missed the goal!
Look at it! Look at me! I got it! Look at it! This is a new world record! Bella, we can't be friends anymore. I don't understand. I'm not good at bowling, I promise. I'm here for Gail Forman's new book.
Oh, okay. I don't think that comes out till January 27th.
Do you know what it's about? It's by Gail Forman and it's full of words. I met her one time and now we're like best friends.
Wow.
So I'm here for the book.
Yeah, it's not out yet.
I'll wait.
Okay.
Okay.
Alright.
I'm Christine. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you next time. Goodbye!
Hello, my name is Kat, and I like books. Like, I really like books. Some might say obsessed, if they wanted to be accurate. From book reviews to writing advice to news about the publishing industry or movie adaptations, you will find all this and more on my channel. If you love books, then you might enjoy my videos. I hope you check them out.
All right, we're back on the set of BookView Now. We're pbs.org. This is BookCon 2015. I'm with Jesse George, who you met in our last segment, and we now have Brian Selznick on the set with us. Brian, how awesome to have you here.
Thank you so much.
It's
So
a
happy
pleasure.
to be here.
Yeah, it's
Thank
great.
you.
Jesse and I are both really big fans of your work, but The Marvels is another incredible book, and I think anybody who needs to know anything about The Marvels can just look at the side of the book, because you see the images here, and then we move into the actual novel of the book. what an incredible, this must take you forever, but we'll talk lots about it. I know that like this kind of book is a combination of all of your artwork plus a novel that's sort of tucked in the center. That's a little bit different than the way you've worked your other books previously.
Yeah, Hugo, The Invention of Hugo Cabret told one story with words and pictures going back and forth. Wonderstruck had two different stories, but they wove from picture to word, picture to word, picture to word. And this, I thought, what would happen if we told an entire narrative that took 150 years just in pictures, and we had all of that first, and then followed it up with part two, which was all text. But ultimately, it's all part of the story of the novel.
Yeah, that's incredible. Jesse, you read The Marvels, right?
I'm almost done with it. I'm working on
I
it.
hope you like the rest of
I'm
it.
loving it so far.
What do you think?
Yes.
What do you think of The Marvels?
It's incredible. I know that you consider this like a trilogy. Can you explain that a little bit?
I mean, usually trilogies have, you know, the same characters and the same settings often that follow through the three books. But there's other kinds of trilogies that are connected by themes and by ideas and structure. And I know that Maurice Sendak thought about Where the Wild Things Are, Outside Over There, and In the Night Kitchen as a trilogy, all related to, you know, his ideas around childhood and things that had happened to him personally. And so for Hugo, Wonderstruck, and The Marvels, it's very much a trilogy connected by this strange kinds of ways of telling a story with words and pictures, but also ultimately all three of them are about how we make our own family and what that means, because that's something that everyone ultimately, you know, sort of grows up in some fashion does. And even as kids, we build, you know, our people, we bring our people around us. So that's what these books are ultimately about.
It's awesome.
Yeah, and obviously there's a huge inspiration about the theater. This whole book is driven by sort of classic across the century theater and a family that sort of spans generations and the differences there. What's your interest in theater, and how does that play into how you created this book?
Yeah, I wanted to be a set designer when I was younger, and I acted a lot when I was starting in high school. I always got cast as the old man. I always played the old man in like every play. A lot of powder in my hair. But I've always loved the theater, and I love set design and what happens when the curtains open and you see the setting on stage. And I just am very intrigued by how you tell a story on stage. And I'm also a puppeteer. I've made my own like 19th century sort of toy theaters, and there's a lot of overlap between theater and bookmaking. But of course, in a theater, you've got, you know, the director, the actors, the writer, the lighting designer, the costume designer. But in a book, as the person making the book, you can kind of be all of those things. But I had wanted to make a story about 19th century actors and Shakespearean actors, and I was very intrigued by families of actors who passed down their art form from generation to generation. And so I very much wanted to take those ideas of the theater and put them into this. But all of my books in some way are related to the theater. You know, my books, if you go back through all of my books, there's constantly curtains that open up and bring us into some kind of stage, although usually the stage is not literally a stage, it's some other world. But here the stage is actually a stage.
Yeah.
The drawings. You know, talk to Jesse and I about the drawings.
How long did it take you to do it?
A long time.
A long time.
Yeah, so the whole book took about 3 years to make.
Right.
And I have some very vague ideas about what I want the story to be. I have the idea about theater. This book was also very inspired by a real house in London that is still kept as if it's the 18th and 19th centuries. And so, so that was a very big inspiration. Wow. And so I to London, I did my research, I photographed models, I do little tiny thumbnail sketches that are, you know, literally like this big, just from my head.
Wow.
And I can do those from my head, like I can have a good sense of action and character, but I'm not very good at drawing very realistically out of my head, so I need photographs of models and real things, and I can look at like the way fabric folds in a shirt, and then I can translate that. And then I spent an entire year just doing the drawings that appear in the book.
Wow.
And they're all done 1/4 size, so they're about this big in real life.
Wow.
And I work under a magnifying glass that's sort of on an arm, sort of like this lamp, except it has a magnifying glass, and I look through the magnifying glass and I have a very sharp pencil that I do all of the drawings with. So it's fun to see them blown up to this big in the book. And then
the magnifying glass is very cool.
Yeah.
You know, the other thing is that you draw as if we're looking through a lens. I mean, you'll come in closer and closer on an image, and you'll spend 3 or 4 or 5 pages sometimes, like bringing us in on a scene. And we'll start out wide, and then we'll get tighter and tighter. You always think very cinematically in your books, and it's a different kind of artistry, obviously.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, no, I think especially starting with The Invention of Hugo Cabret, which has a lot to do with the history of cinema, I wanted to see if I could tell part of the story like a movie, like to think about how a camera in a movie tells the story.
Right.
What happens when you're tracking through a shot, or when you edit, or when you do a close-up, and you think of, like Alfred Hitchcock, the way he would zoom in on the thing that's the most important, the clue that you have to be aware of. And so those ideas were very influential on me, and then sort of carried through with Wonderstruck and with the Marvels as well, is how does the camera, or the point of view that I'm as the illustrator sort of controlling for the reader's experience. Because very much what this is me as much as possible trying to control what your experience of the story is, and how you take the story in. Although once you have it in your hand, I'm out. It's then yours.
So when you're, and Jesse, I love your thought on this too. Like when you're going through this book, I didn't need words at all. I mean, for those first couple hundred pages, there was not a word. I think there's a couple scenes where you're giving us newspaper clippings to kind of give us a little bit of context, but without a word for 50 or 60 pages, I was completely enraptured and understood the story perfectly.
How difficult is that to write a story just through pictures?
It was very challenging, especially because I don't ever draw first. I write everything first.
Right.
So I will write what I want to draw, even if I know that it's going to ultimately be just pictures, because the idea came very early to tell the first part just with pictures. But I'll start by writing, we see a ship at night on the sea. There's a girl tied to the mast. A dragon, is threatening her, and she looks up and sees an angel. And so you can write a lot of stuff like that, but sometimes you also write, other sort of more conceptual ideas. But then it's like, how do I get across that? Like, the boy's unhappy and he's going to run away. Like, how do you get across what it is that's making him unhappy? And so as much as possible, it was, trying to find visual solutions for all of those questions. But then whenever I came up against a wall and there was just no way that a visual image could tell something, that's when you get the newspaper article or a letter or a postcard, just a little hint that there is, something where we need to understand what a character's thought is, where there's no other way except for them to write it. But I think there's one letter, one postcard, and a couple of newspaper. But otherwise, it's hundreds of pages of just the pictures.
It's actually incredible. You talked about the house. It's this weird, quirky house in London that you found that served as the inspiration. Have you got to that part yet, Justin? Yeah.
Spoilers? No, it's okay.
Well, it's not in the book necessarily, but it is like an inspiration for it. And maybe you could explain how you found it, first of all, and what it is.
Yeah, my husband and I were traveling in London, and a friend told us about this strange house that's kept as if it's still the 18th and 19th centuries. And so we found it and we knocked on the door, and it turned out it has very unusual hours and they were just closing. But we were both somewhat desperate to get inside by that point because it overlapped with a lot of our interests. And the man at the door sort of looked at us and our sad faces and took pity on us. And he let us in, and he said, welcome to the past, the journey is yours. And he sort of set it up and then told us what route to walk. But then other than that, we were just on our own. And you walk inside, and the candles are burning. There's half-eaten food that's just been cooked on the tables. There's hot tea in the teacups. There's laundry by the floor. The chamber pots by the beds are often full. And so there's smells and there's sounds, and you hear footsteps in other rooms, and the sense is that as you walk into each room, the people from that time have just stepped out. So it's not like it's not like you're in the future looking at this thing in the past. It's like you are in that time period, and that time period is the present.
And that was always a vision for this place. That's
Yeah.
what I wanted you to feel.
Yeah. And so by the time we finished our walk through the house, we were both in tears.
Yeah.
And the man at the door turned out to be the curator, David Milne, who was friends with the man who founded the house, Dennis Severs, and who himself was actually a Californian who moved to London and built this house from scratch. Wow. And so it was very much made to give you this sense that you are in the past, and that the past is present. And it was probably the most uncanny experience I've ever had, where I really felt like this is what time travel would be like. And we became really good friends with David Milne, and we've gone back to the house dozens of times, all different times of the year. He changes the decorations depending on what the holidays are. He cooks different food depending on what the time of the year is. And I had that idea and that house very much in the back of my head for an inspiration for a book. And I had this other idea for this theater book. And eventually it was my husband who said, why don't you make them the same book?
Right.
And there were really interesting ways that they overlapped.
Yeah.
And so that's how the Marvels sort of came to be.
Man, the power of collaboration. Like,
Yeah.
you know, sometimes those ideas don't come together on their own. You need a little helpful shove.
Yeah,
sometimes.
exactly.
Well, the book is absolutely stunning.
Oh, thank you.
It's a beautiful book. It really fits so nicely with Hugo Cabret, which was made into a wonderful movie by, of all people, Martin Scorsese.
Yeah.
I mean, jackpot.
Yeah.
Wonderstruck, and now the Marvels. And I see each one of these as a movie, and not because they're necessarily going to be made into movies, but because they read so much like movies.
Thank you.
And they're so beautiful. And Jesse and I are huge fans.
Yes, for sure.
Thank you.
You know, we'll slather on some more praise off stage, but in the meantime, it's so nice to have you
Thank
here.
you
Thanks
so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. We'll be back in just a little bit with more from BookCon 2015, Day 2. I'm Rich Fahle. This has been Jesse George as well, and Brian Selznick. Come back. We'll be with you in just a little bit.
Why are you excited to be here at BookCon?
Because I get to see so many of my favorite YouTubers and authors too.
My first year living in New York and my first year at BookCon, so it's so exciting to see everyone so enthusiastic about their favorite books and getting to meet some of their favorite authors.
Because I love books. I was really looking forward to seeing Mindy Kaling and BJ Novak, and also I was looking forward to seeing John Green and Nat Wolff.
We saw Mindy Kaling speak. It was awesome.
She was so funny. I loved her.
And we're going to go see Aziz Ansari soon too. To see Rochelle Mead.
What do you like about her?
All of her books. I've read all of them. They're so good. We love books. We love reading. It's true. I love reading.
Well, I like books, and it's just fun to come here because there's a lot of people who like books, and there's a lot of authors.
Why are you excited to be here at BookCon? What do you like about Marie Lou's books?
They're just action-packed, and you don't know what's going to happen next. They're really good.
Excited to be here at BookCon?
To meet like a bunch of authors that I like to read their books. Yeah. I want to meet famous authors.
When we first got here, we saw a panel, and Sarah Dessen was there, and I was a little bit starstruck because I was like, oh my god, I have been reading these since I was 12. Like, it was a big deal.
I'm excited to meet Mamrie Hart.
John Green.
I just bought an awful lot of books. I got Paper Towns. I got An Ember in the Ashes. I have the Babysitter Club, and I also got Fangirl.
I'm really excited to see all my favorite authors. I read their books all the time.
So why are you excited to be here at BookCon?
Because of Alfie. Alfie and all the YouTubers that are here.
Yeah.
All right, and we're back. It's Day 2 at BookCon 2015. This is BookView Now at pbs.org. I'm Rich Fahle, but I'm sitting right now with Melissa de la Cruz, who I think I might be the first one to say on anything, is the #1 New York Times bestseller for your new book, The Isle of the Lost, a Descendants novel. Congratulations, first of all.
Thank you. Thanks, Rich.
How
It's great
cool is
to
that?
be here.
We talked before that you haven't had a #1 New York Times bestseller. Close.
No, close.
#2.
Yes.
This is your first #1.
First #1.
That's awesome.
Yes. Oh, it was amazing.
Yeah, we're really excited for you.
Thank you.
Let's talk about this book, because it's the first in the series.
Yes.
And I don't know how many you're planning, but I do know that it's based on the upcoming Disney movie.
Yes.
Tell me how this all came about.
Sure. I've been with Disney for over 12 years, and my editor actually the publisher asked me to lunch, and I thought, oh, you know, Disney's moved out to California. I'm sure it's just like a girls' lunch. You know, I was looking forward to it. But that morning, I had told my agent, you know what I want to do? I want to do a fairy tale retelling. And at lunch, Jean said, you know, we're doing this project about the kids of villains, and it's going to be a Disney Channel original movie, but we think it should also be an original book series. And I said, this is so crazy. I was just telling my agent that I wanted to do fairy tales. I was like, sign me up. I'm in. So from there, you know, we just kind of ran with it.
I love the fact there was a synergy, that you guys found each other almost organically.
Yeah, no, it was a little bit crazy because just that morning I had said I wanted to do fairy tales, and then she handed me the entire Disney fairy tale canon.
Yeah,
you know?
well, the children of the evil Disney characters is such a fun, like, enjoyable little place to play, especially when you talk about like these sort of pressures of being, you know, one of those children. Tell us about the children in the book. And because there's such a huge Disney fan base out there that love these characters, and the fact they can dive in deeper, so much fun.
So it is the children of the 4 kind of most famous and most evil Disney characters. It's the daughter of Maleficent, Mal, the daughter of the evil queen from Snow White, Evie, Jafar's son, Jay, and Cruella de Vil's son, Carlos. So in my book, you know, I kind of saw it as ultimate Disney fan fiction. Like, what happens after all those movies? What happened after Sleeping Beauty? What happened after Snow White? And it's they all died, and then they found themselves, you know, trapped in this island. So the script had already been written, but they wanted me to kind of flesh out the background of the characters and the story before the story in the movie, because the book is a prequel to the movie.
Right.
So
how much freedom did you have to really play with those characters yourself and to come up with some of those ideas? And because obviously you came to it with your own thoughts about what you wanted to do. Could you maneuver and do what you wanted once you were writing the books?
Oh yeah, no, I mean, it was definitely an interesting process because I've written over 35 books. They've all been my own imagination and world. So it was a little bit like having adopted children, you know, and a lot more parents in the brew. So working with the channel, working with Disney Creative and franchise, we all kind of figured out the big, you know, points of the book. And then once everybody kind of signed off on that, I got freedom to do whatever I wanted and play in the world.
Yeah. The retelling is like such a fun idea. We had Gregory Maguire on the set yesterday, and obviously he's made quite a career for himself with The Wizard of Oz, and now he's got a new book out with Alice in Wonderland called After Alice. But the idea of taking a little-known idea and finding some shred of something that you can go down and play with and really sort of blow out. How did you do it when you were thinking about, say, Cruella de Vil's child? I mean, where did you go to find the inspiration for that?
I wanted to do the project because my daughter is 8, and we had just rewatched all the Disney movies. I loved them as a kid, and then I got to watch them again as a parent, and it's so fresh in my mind. So I knew those stories so well, and then I watched all the movies again. And, you know, kind of when I watched the movies, I found those little things that I could play with.
Right.
You know, Snow White's evil queen's spell when she turns into a hag. You know, Cruella, you know, who drives, you know, this big black car and always has the cigarette and the furs. You know, she was really fun to play with. Like, what would her son do? I was like, oh my God, he would do all the chores, you know.
Exactly.
Obviously, he'd be like basically the maid.
Yeah.
And that's in the script too. So I kind of took parts in the script that I thought, you know, would work on the island also.
So how many books will there be in the series, or how long do you think? I mean, because there's other characters, obviously. There's so many evil people in the Disney world, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know, you know. I mean, right now I've signed up for the next one, and then we're kind of seeing how it goes. You know, I always say it's above my pay grade. Somebody else decides, but I really enjoy it, and I enjoy working with the company.
Yeah, let's talk about the world building a little bit more. Yes. So you had lots of flexibility once you started the project.
Yes.
But the idea of like having your world, the adopted children analogy is wonderful. The one that yours, like, these are my kids, I'm running with it. And then the others, but now they must sort of feel like family because you've been in their worlds for so long. Tell us about that sort of adoption process.
Oh, it was wonderful. I mean, once I got the tone right and once I knew what I wanted to do with the story, it was hard to get there, but once I got there, it was so much fun. And then I just pulled from the whole Disney canon, you know, who else is on the island? Oh, Gaston's son, you know, from Beauty and the Beast. And then I was doing Auradon, which is the good kingdom, you know, who's over there? And I was like, oh, the 7 dwarfs are there, you know, and and the Dalmatians, you know, from Cruella de Vil. So, and the kids have really liked that. You know, they like reading the books, and they say, "Oh my God, that's from," you know. So they like all the references.
Yeah, I think we need a map of this island. I need to be able to see, like, oh, the Dalmatians are here.
Yeah.
Here's Jafar hanging out. I mean, clearly, there's a whole, that's quite a party happening on this island.
It is. And at first it was like, well, how does Cruella work with Snow White, you know? But once I figured out that, you know, they'd all been banished. You know, it really kind of made sense. And they, you know, then the kids go to the school called Dragon Hall, where they learn how to be evil, you know, because they were all defeated. So the parents are all defeated, and it's all about, you know, raising a new generation of villains who's going to, you know, who are going to win.
Right. I love that. Your 8-year-old daughter must just be over the moon. I mean, obviously, these are characters she knows really well. And now Mom's writing about them.
You know, it's so interesting. I did not realize how much fun it would be to write for my kid and for her friends. So all her friends are reading it. They all talk about it. I'm the most popular mom in second grade. You know, I walk in. Yeah, no. I was like, oh my God, my elementary school dream is coming true.
That's right. There you go. It'll happen if I wait it out.
Yeah,
that gives me confidence, actually. So you told me that that you were at her event the other day, which was some reading event.
They have a young authors.
Right.
Yes.
So how does that work?
You know, it's at the school every year the kids write their own books, and they, you know, publish them and they read from them. And I've missed this event for the last 3 years because it's during Book Expo. And I was there for the first time this year, and it was really wonderful to see all these kids writing stories, and they illustrate them. And they said, oh, we also have an old author here, so I'm in my book.
I like the idea that like you're writing about these children of these famous Disney characters. Now your daughter is the child of this famous writer, and you're there in that event. There's a parallel I see here.
I don't know. She's a little evil.
Yeah, well, it is cool that you're now able to write for your daughter, even though it's like you've been writing these wonderful books. She's going to eventually read them all, I'm sure, but like now she gets to read ones that with characters she loves. I can get it.
Oh yeah, no, it's. I did not realize how much fun that would be. I really enjoy writing for this age, and I think my sense of humor, they really, you know, kind of react to it really well.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it is really funny. That's one of the things I loved about this.
Oh, thank you.
When you move on to new series, and you have these wonderful series in your past, you have Blue Bloods that everybody knows, obviously, and these are characters that were such a part of your life for so long. How do you look back at those series now as you think about them? I mean, you knew them so well as worlds you were in the middle of, and now you keep moving on. You just talked about how many books you have. There's so many.
Yeah, you know, I look back on them pretty fondly. You know, but it's funny because I forgot, you know, certain things, like when did I write about that? Was it book 6 or book 3?
Yeah.
And then I discovered there was a Blue Bloods Wikipedia page, and I was like, oh, that's so cool. Like, and here's like my, you know, I was like, I forgot about that, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, I really enjoy writing the books, so it's like while I'm writing them, I'm completely in that world. But once I'm done, I kind of like, you know, I do kind of forget about it. I don't, you know, angst about it anymore. I'm on to the next project. I'm writing a book right now, the series that my husband and I do together called Heart of Dread. So I'm like in that world. It's this dark dystopian, dragons and army magic world, you know, a little bit much older.
Right.
And it's funny because I'm promoting this book, you know, which is very different, much younger age group, and I'm in this really dark world right now in my head.
Yeah, I mean, that is weird to like sort of walk that tightrope, especially when you're writing for different age groups all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, do you do anything to sort of prepare yourself for your day as you're thinking about it? I mean, we talked yesterday to some of the authors who are like Maggie Stiefvater, who's writing some really older, darker stuff, and then she's writing now for her younger kids.
Yeah.
And she has to really sort of separate.
Yeah.
How do you do it?
Yeah, I think you have to do it kind of one at a time.
Yeah.
And then I think, you know, you do, in a way, have to think about that age group a little bit. So in Isle of the Lost, it's all about friendship, you know. And at first, I really wanted it to have a romance, but, you know, we just couldn't find a way to make that really work. And then so I focused on the friendship, and it turned out when you're 8 years old, you know, 10 years old, it's all about your friends. Like, that's who you care about. Who's going to hang out with you? Who's your best friend? Who can you lean on? Like, it's not really about your boyfriend, your girlfriend yet.
Right.
So it really appeals to the kids in that way because it's talking about their own experience, you know, at that age.
Well, there's one thing that I know is really interesting when you finish a series, and that can't ever happen again when you're done, is that that sort of waiting for the next book that happens with your books, with Harry Potter, with all those books where when you're in the middle of the shoot and you just can't wait for the next one.
Yes.
Then they're all done, and the kids can sort of binge read, like watching a Netflix series or something.
Yeah, they read all 7
in like 2 weeks. You know, and they're caught up, and you're like, that you didn't have any of the moment to moment waiting 6 months, a year for the next book to come out. So it's a totally different experience, but it's wonderful to see people still, enjoying all of those series.
Yeah, no, it's a different experience too if you read them all in a week, right? Rather than waiting 7, each year. I wonder if it's better or worse. Like, is it easier? Because then you would get all
old school Melissa. I like the I like the wait. I like the pain. I like the wondering. I like the making me just.
Right. I want a midnight party. I like a midnight party.
Oh, me too. Me too. Well, I hope we have some more midnight parties for these books. This is really cool.
We're looking forward to it.
And I think once the movies available too on Disney, that I think there's going to be a lot of people who. Even more people that are discovering this, but right now you're doing pretty well at #1.
Thank you.
So congratulations for that.
Thank you so much, Rich. It's great to be here.
Yeah, it's great to have you at PBS, and I appreciate you visiting us today.
Thank you.
All right, take care. Thanks. So nice.